In the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, there is currently a change going on, a shift in coaching and therefore a shift in philosophy. The main question is what we have to ask is this. How do Wales change from Warren Gatland, a championship-winning, very successful coach who focused on the basics of massive defence, incredible physicality, and a huge amount of organisation and fitness in their defensive and game plan? Now, this game plan is brilliant Test match rugby, winning them copious amounts of championships, more championships, and creating arguably what can only be described as the worst days of my life. Gatland's era in Wales has been a golden period of success. However, Wales are trying to get back to another golden period with this new era, and that era is the 1970s Wales team. Gareth Edwards, Barry John, Phil Bennett, John Dawes, some of the best names and players that have ever been seen to grace the game. Wales are trying to get back to these years, enlisting Wayne Pivac, the Scarlet's maestro who literally created a brand of rugby that wowed and entertained the Pro 14 watchers for quite a few years. He literally developed a style that was akin to not only a Kiwi style of play, but was reminiscent of an unstructured game where they were almost playing a game of hot potato. The simple fact is, they're trying to bring this blend to the Wales team with the assistance of his general, the former Welsh fly half, Stephen Jones. Coached by Graham Henry and Steve Hansen, Stephen Jones was quite simply a magnificent fly half for Wales. This is translated into the attack coach, where he has formed a partnership with Wayne Pivac so strong that it could prove to be the equal of Gatland and Shaun Edwards. As an attack coach, Jones is not beyond thinking outside the box. We see him actually going back to 2003 here, running a scissor switch play that was actually used against England in his own playing days. Now, 17 years later, we see the identical move being coached by Steve Jones, Biggar to Parks, back to Biggar using the 13 as a screen, followed by the wide move. Jones is integrating this outside-the-box thinking with his own philosophies on how to attack off set piece, particularly line-out. Off line-out, Wales are consistently running the same first phase option, where Justin Tipuric and Hadley Parkes are combining for the crash option. They've done this against Ireland, they've also done this against Italy, and it's always the same combination, 7 and 12 going in together. I know that sounds pretty dirty, but I didn't intend it that way. There is a very good reason why Wales are running this same dynamic of first phase. It is simply to confuse the defence. They're painting the same picture on every first phase ball. That means when you get first phase tries like this, the defence don't know if the ball is actually going to be run for the crash option, or in this case, as you can see, it goes out wide for the try. In this example, we see the exact same shape run. Biggar runs a tunnel pass through to the 13, takes the inside pop to McNichol. It is the same exact shape. In the next example, we see the 7-12 go in, but this is different. It's a 2-1 pattern. There's 2 phases to the right off 9. Short pass goes to Wainwright, followed by a switch pass, which does fall, but it's a switch pass to the blind side, run by the 10, using Ken Owens as a screen. Now, against the bars, we see the exact same pattern. The crash option, followed immediately by a short pass to Wainwright, coming in on the short line. He goes to ground, although it takes a little bit of time to do it, and then we have a switch pass. The ball goes to 10 using Ken Owens as a screen, and then the try will be scored. This style of play has been somewhat enhanced by the involvement of Dan Biggar. Whoever it was, Chris Boyd, the Kiwi Hurricanes coach, or Stephen Jones, the Welsh maestro, Dan Biggar is doing things he did not do last year. He is taking the ball flat. He is making offloads. He is putting players into space like this. He is making beautiful flat miss passes along these lines. And last but not least, he is then trying audaciously Carlos Spencer style stuff. I mean, this is not Dan Biggar. Dan Biggar is a kicking defensive 10, except now he's not. He is now far more. And simple fact is he's had to be to actually implement the new attacking game that Wales are doing. The game that, whilst I fully admit could be coincidence, was potentially borrowed from one man. That man being Eddie Jones. Yeah. The England maestro has his own style. When he first started with Japan, rather than implementing pods of 3, he started implementing pods of 2 with a 1-2-2-2-1 pattern. Literally, it suited Japan's small frame, but the thing is, he actually then brought it over to England. It was used consistently throughout the early years of Jones's tenure as England coach. It saw use against Scotland, Wales, and quite a few other countries as well. Now, it relied on a few different things. It relied on communication, fitness, as you can imagine, but more importantly, it relied on the playmaking axis of George Ford and Owen Farrell, the two fellow boys from under-20s. Being fly halves, the two of them were both capable and accurate distributors, which meant that one of them could act as first receiver, use the pod as a cover for the second receiver, and then after that they could then take the ball to the line to see what they could get going. However, it wasn't always this easy. There is a problem with sending in pods of 2, and you can probably guess what it is. When you use pods of 2, quick ball is really hard to generate. You can end up getting literally stuff like this, 6-second rucks, which is why England developed another shape, the quick ball generation shape. It looked very similar to their original pod, except you had a forward on the inside. Here, Sam Underhill. Literally, he is able to actually come in as a secondary cleaner. Here, again, Sam Underhill's on the inside of George Ford. If the ball goes into contact, he can come in as that cleaner to generate quick ball. Why is this relevant for Wales? It's relevant because Wales have started using the same shape. We have the pod of 2 outside of Biggar and the 4 inside coming in as a secondary cleaner. Later on, the ball is passed to Biggar, who then uses another pod of 2 as a tunnel pass to Lee Halfpenny, another one of the axis. Here, exactly the same principle. Pod of 2 outside Biggar with the forward on the inside. Admittedly, it takes a little bit longer for quick ball this time, but then the ball comes out again, straight ahead to Biggar, and then to another pod of 2. This is an incredibly suitable shape for Wales. The reason being is that their forwards are schooled in the Pro 14. For those who don't watch the Pro 14, without doubt, it has the most ferocious breakdown in world rugby, and I think that even includes in test level. Pivac is aware of how important speed of ball is to his game plan, which is why Warburton's been brought in as a breakdown coach, as a specialist in this area, to ensure quick ball is generated. Warburton is needed more than near any other coach for this game plan. During their slump, England demonstrated exactly why breakdown was so important in this game plan. Simple fact is, if you don't have many men resourcing the rucks, that means that you have to be more efficient with how you do it. England were croc rolling within their pods of 2. This meant that the supporting cleaner was taking himself out of the game, leaving the ball on a platter for any of the jackals who only had the opposition 9 to stop him. This happened a lot, and turnovers were rife during this slump. It got so bad that England had to call in Wallaby flanker George Smith to assist, because simple fact is England were not learning their lesson. Unlike the Welsh forwards, who are quite simply a lot more streetwise around the breakdown, yep, you got it right. It was more like for Wales, Sam Warburton was Qui-Gon Jinn coaching Obi-Wan Kenobi, rather than England, it was Yoda coaching younglings, simply because the Pro 14 had enhanced the Welsh forwards all the more. One area that this structure helps attack is the fringe defence. The fringe defence automatically start drifting out nowadays. That's just a common structural flaw. The thing is that can result in areas to strike if you know what you're doing. This was especially exacerbated with Joe Schmidt, who was a master of targeting the fringes with clever obstruction and very intelligent running lines. As we can see here, Rob Kearney going straight under for the try. This was not lost on Eddie Jones, with him introducing the inside option, with Johnny May, Jack Nile, Joe Cockner-Singer coming in off forward to actually make grounds off this drift defence. This is based on the knowledge that the rush defence is now cutting off the wings very effectively, so rather than leaving them useless out on the wings, they're being brought in to strike on the fringes of the ruck, exploiting this area with their speed and power. This philosophy was pioneered by the Rob McQueen Wallabies, who used to bring the combination of Matt Burke, Jason Little, running hard, incisive lines off Stephen Larkham to actually make incredible ground, making breaks you would not expect them to make in that area. Wales have decided to adopt this tactic themselves, using the increased skill set of Dan Biggar to actually buy time for their wingers to make this break. They've started it not only with the wingers, but with the forward inside option. This means that Biggar is taking the ball to the line and as such putting his runners into space. Here we see it, and here we see it with a nice little 1-2. This further demonstrates the skill sets that Pivac is trying to bring to his team. It is a very promising start for Pivac and is a reason why he is looking so cheery here. He also has another very good reason to be cheery, and that is the Welsh axis, or the Welsh distribution game as we may call it. All good teams have one of these. England have Ford, Farrell, Daly, which combined very, very well on certain games in the World Cup. New Zealand have Barrett and Mackenzie, whereas Wales have a little bit of a combination at the moment. As we can see, they're moving the ball, stretching the defence, and doing it quite efficiently, I might add. Now, this is for the use of 3 players. Those 3 players are Dan Biggar, of course, Nick Tompkins at 13, and Lee Halfpenny at 15, even though Johnny McNichols slots in at 14 every now and then. The big one and potential game changer, however, is Nick Tompkins at 13. The 13 playmaker and distributor is something that is becoming quite prevalent in today's game. Nick Tompkins is a 13 in the mould of Henry Slade of England or James O'Connor of Australia. They are playmaking, kicking 13s, and these are very useful against a particular kind of opponent. That opponent? South Africa. Whilst we're not going into the details of the South African defence today, we are aware that it is a very strong out-to-win defence, which means the crossfield kick off 10 does not work. Let's see an example. Scotland's crossfield kick is done before the defence can be brought in, and therefore it's a very easy turnover of possession. Against Wales, we see them. flying in from the outside in to make the tackles and drive the play back towards their jackals. This is one of the reasons why Eddie Jones regrets not playing Henry Slade at 13 in the World Cup final. This kind of playmaking 13 gives the attack the abilities to make those missed passes that unlock the winger in the wide channels, or to make the grubber kick that puts the backfield under pressure and results in the 5-metre line-out. It compromises the decision-making of the edge of the defensive line. Should they hold? Should they rush? It hurts them and is why Wales are on the right track. It is going to take a little bit of time to bed in, but the simple fact is they are playing a style of play that is very suited to the cattle they have, and that means they will be able to eventually play it better than anyone else, which is very exciting for them.